Welcome. My name is James Barber. I'm your Oregon Cash Flow Pro. We're doing our week 2 update on our $34,000 0% interest credit card challenge. Let's see what happened this week. You want to catch up on what the challenge is? Check out our link up in the corner there where I lay it all out. Basically what our plan is, what our goal is. We're going to do a quick recap of that right now as well. Here's the basics. Secure the funds, deposit them into a brokerage account, profit. Okay, we do have some criteria though. Number 1, we got to preserve our capital. Number 2, minimize risk. Number 3, minimal time commitment. We don't want this taking up much of our day. And number 4, let's make some consistent profits. These are the cards that we pulled money from. Now we actually have more money on the way once we finish getting funds transferred. But I got a couple of places that I might want to have this stop off before it makes it over here. So right now, it's a $34,000 challenge. It will be a $59,500 challenge as soon as we get all the funds transferred. But we did have a delay in getting the funds, which actually is helpful because it pushed us into a time where I have a renewal date on my life insurance. And I'm going to dump this money into one of my policies and then borrow it back out again and send it over here for this challenge. Now, in my life insurance, there's a 5% load fee, which means if I take $10,000, I drop it in there, it's going to turn into $9,500 in cash. So I won't be able to pull out $10,000 in cash. We're already going to be down another 5% from what we get to start with. But we're going to get started with $9,500 or whatever is available after I finish putting it through my life insurance. And then we're going to bring it over here, and then we're going to have more money to play with here for this challenge. Here's the numbers that we need to know. Profits needed to pay off just the fees, $28.90 per day over the next year. That means $7.92 or about $55 a week or $240 a month. If we can pay off the whole entire thing, we're going to need $62,000 over the next year. $170 a day, $1,200 per week, and $5,200 almost per month. All right. We're behind on this goal here, but that's okay. We were going to start out slow. We're going to ramp this thing up. We're going to take advantages of dips in the market. And to do all this, we're running modified wheel strategies, and we may engage in some other types of trades too. But remember, it's got to be safe and consistent profits. We track all of our raw trades in here. This spreadsheet is available to our Discord members. You can join the Discord for as little as $1 a month to become a YouTube member or a Patreon member. It's not very much, but it keeps the trolls out. If you want access to this spreadsheet and the spreadsheets on all of our other stuff that we do and we track here, join our channel, join the Discord, and you get access to all of it. Now, this is all of the raw trades pulled right from Tasty Trade, which is where we do our trading. And you can see this is this week's trades. So we've got this line here between there and here marking the trade, marking all the trades we did this week. I have the dates over here too, so it's kind of easy to follow along where you see this. But if you want to see what we actually did, when we did it, all that information is right here. We're going to do an overview on it. And we're going to look at the actual account here in just a minute. But from a profit tracking standpoint, just here in the spreadsheet, right now, with all the positions that we're in, we have $3,444 out. We've made money. This is the totals up across the top with all the money we've made among each specific ticker. Now, the couple of them that you see have large dollars amounts out because we're running a modified wheel strategy. We picked up either shares, which is what we did with Webull last week, or we picked up a long call in order to sell calls against it, also known as a poor man's covered call. It's a lot less expensive than buying the actual shares. And because we're doing the modified wheel strategy, we don't actually let the contract expire at expiration date, so we're not forced to buy the shares. It minimizes our risk and it makes our capital go a long ways. I explained more about that earlier in those other videos, so be sure to check those out if you're interested in kind of the nuances of the things that we're doing here. But I am going to talk about the trades that we took on in just a moment. As you can see here with Triple Q, week 1, we sold a spread. Week 2, we closed that spread, sold another one for a net gain of $1.52. And then this week, we just sold the spread. We didn't enter into another one, so we didn't get another credit. So altogether, we're at $30 profit on triple Q for 2 weeks. Here with Tesla, opened a spread, closed, and opened another one, closed. I don't think we're in a spread right now with Tesla. I don't think we're in a current spread. So Tesla, all profit. NVIDIA opened a spread. NVIDIA went down past our strike price. Our spread lost us a little bit of money. So I did what I would have done if it was the wheel strategy. We'd purchased a long call instead of 100 shares in order to sell calls against it. We did sell a call against it, and then we had to roll that call. So we did all of that last week, and then we rolled the call this week for $128 credit. This trade is looking really good right now. This is actually going to be really good for us. We're well up on NVIDIA with the value of our current shares, or with the value of our current contracts. But not until I sell that contract is this big number going to go away. And I don't know how long I'm going to hold it. I might hold it for a while, and we'll just see good credits happening each week instead of a little small credit. It's going to be a lot easier for us to reach our goal if I can do this. And I'll explain more when I go talk about NVIDIA here in a minute, and you're looking at the actual trade that we're in. Coin, similar situation over here. We sold the spread here, bought it back, didn't open another one. So we just made profits on that, haven't been back in it. mstr, sold a spread, bought it back, sold another one, bought it back. We're not in a mstr spread at the moment. If we are, then we collected less than what we paid to get out of it. But I don't think we're in one at the moment. Webull, we're still holding on to the shares. When it opened this morning, we bought these shares when effectively Webull is at the $14 strike. So we sold covered calls at the $14 strike. Webull opened 8 cents below it, and we were well into a profit. Except I was still sleeping. Remember, this is minimal time commitment. So when I got up, it had already dropped back down a bit, and it just kept going down the rest of the day. So it didn't go back close to that point, but we bought some back. We sold some more for the next week. We actually sold some calls and we sold some puts. So we may end up with more shares next week. Depends on where it goes. But this one, we're basically doing the true wheel strategy at the moment. Lulu, we've only collected from this, but our position is down quite a bit. We have many months to sit and hold on to this position though. And right now this represents about a 10% return on our risk at the moment. Hood, we didn't do anything that first week. Second week, sold the position. Third week, we bought it back. And then we also opened some other positions. So we got quite a bit in Hood. Let's take a look at the actual account. Here it is. Let's first start here with our year-to-dates. So this is going to be easier to understand than what's on the spreadsheet. But you'll kind of learn, if you're in our Discord and you look at the spreadsheet, you'll kind of learn how to read the spreadsheet. But this has all of our unrealized gain positions. And when we do a roll, so NVIDIA, we went into a spread. NVIDIA went past our covered call strike price. We're well profitable on both positions. We could close out of it. You can see we're actually up $140 overall on the position for the year. But what I decided to do instead was close one covered call and open another one for the following week for some extra credit. NVIDIA is well above the strike price, so we're not too concerned about getting into a position where it's losing money, and we can keep getting the extrinsic value. We let that bleed out throughout the week. We can make some pretty good money while we're in that position. So this is a realized loss because the original call that we sold, we lost money on that because NVIDIA shot way up. But the covered call, but the long position that we were in made more money than that one lost. And when we rolled it, we took another credit as well. And so right now we have a spread where if we were to close both positions, we have more profit than loss. It's just not realized right now. So we see unrealized gain. All right, so you can see most of this. We've got realized gains. NVIDIA is our big one with unrealized gain. Webull, we have realized loss. And this was higher than that this morning by a decent amount. When we woke up, it was almost even, maybe a little bit higher. And I actually thought maybe it would come back up to the $14 and we'd get our shares called away. Didn't happen. So we roll on with Webull, but you can see our position is almost even. We're only down 21 bucks on that one. Overall, unrealized gain for the year, $539. Realized losses, $555. So overall, $16 loss. Now, there are fees when we trade options. So for every option I open, it costs $1. When we close it, it doesn't cost anything. So if we do a lot of trades, it's going to end up stacking up these fees. So our actual loss on the year when we count the fees is actually $91 right now. So we're a bit behind where we would like to be, but we're in a great position, I think, for moving forward. Let's look at the actual positions. Here's Webull. We've got the 200 shares that we were assigned last week. We have a put at $12.50 sold and a put at $13 sold. And then we have our covered calls sold at the $14 strike. Best case scenario, Webull ends over $14 and we get the shares called away for $2,800. You can see right now our net liquidity is $2,671. So that's an extra $130 from our position where we're at right now. And these two would expire worthless. That would be an additional $47. So nearly $200 from where we're at now, which has us down $21 in our Webull position. So that's a massive swing if Webull closes above 14. If it closes below 13, we're going to buy more shares. If it closes below 12.5, we're going to buy more shares. We're just going to take assignment. We're going to keep the money that we got for this, and we're going to sell some more covered calls. Our overall position, our trade price on these shares, we're actually in them for $12.92. We didn't buy them at the 14, but we consider 14 was like our loss, right? So we consider that to be our average price for these. If we actually get assigned at the $13 strike price, 13 is going to be our average to go along with the $14 ones. And then same thing here with the 12.5. So it does reduce our average, and we'll look to sell covered calls at a lower strike price. That's the real wheel strategy here that we're doing on Webull. The modified wheel strategy is like what we're doing on NVIDIA, where we have the long call. Let's organize these. So we have our poor man's covered call. This is our long call. This is our short call that we're making money on. Shift this back here. This is theta. This is delta. I did a video earlier this week on how we're looking at delta and theta for managing these positions. I recommend you watch that if you want to better understand this. But essentially, theta is time value. We're losing almost $6 a day on our long call to time value, but we're gaining $16.48 a day on our short call. The net position on that, $10 to our positive. We're also in an iron condor that expires that same time as our long call, where we have a call spread sold at 190 to 195 and a put spread sold at 145 to 140. We're gaining $1.86 each day in time value on that. Now, the value of this spread itself, for every dollar that NVIDIA goes up, we lose almost $6. We don't like that. It's going to get up close to this strike price, basically. But if it does, our covered call is well in the money, and we're not worried about this position at all. Because in this position, we're getting $10 a day, $10.65 a day in time value. And for every dollar that NVIDIA goes up, we make $8.45. So our net right here is $2.48. For every dollar that NVIDIA goes up, our overall position goes up by $2.48. And we get $12 a day as well. So those can combine over the next 7 days. This one's going to accelerate a little bit, but essentially this option has $83 of time value. We want to let that bleed away. When that bleeds away, when it gets close to zero, we don't want to wait too long on the last day, but we're going to roll that to the next week where the time value is again going to be probably around $120, $130. So it's going to reset that. And we have that 130 that can bleed out over the course of the next week. We're going to keep track of this in relation to this. Depending on where NVIDIA goes, if NVIDIA goes up higher, we can keep this position and keep rolling it out and keep bleeding that time value for a long, long time. We just want to move this one out so that this number doesn't get very high. That's the only thing we would have to worry about, is we want this number to not be very high. The extrinsic value on this one right now is $163. Well, it's 5 weeks away from the expiration of this one. So if I can make $120 a week, that's 5 more weeks, and this only loses $163 in time value. So as long as NVIDIA stays above 170, we could essentially make another $500 over the course of the next 5 weeks, even if I don't roll this out. But if I roll that out, we don't lose that time value. We'll have more time value and more weeks to keep letting it bleed out. Essentially, that's what we're going to be watching. We want to optimize for that. I don't necessarily want to hold this position forever, but I might. We're making a really good return. Our capital used for this is our net liquidity here, $2,400. Well, we also have this, so our net capital required on the whole position, $3,000. If I make $120 a week, that's 4% per week, or over 200% on the year for the $3,000. That's a pretty good deal. If we could do that with multiple positions, we're going to easily meet this challenge and beat it. That would be the goal. But it's a lot riskier to get into these positions. Now, it's nice once we're in these positions. I like having the stock be well above where my covered call is, so I can just keep rolling it and collecting that income. It's not otherworldly. We can make a lot more than 4% on the week if it was really close to this strike price. Because the roll, I could get, instead of 120, I could probably get 200 or 300 if we are able to let it bleed out all the way till expiration. If we look at NVIDIA for this next week, yeah, $300 of time value at the money here, extrinsic value, $300 that it could bleed out over the next week. So we like that, but I don't mind it if it's only 120 and our position is really safe. NVIDIA has to come down a bit to threaten this. If it comes down to this and goes below that, we could end up in a situation where we're losing money on the long call. So I'd much rather be in this position where it's up above that than having it below it. Okay, we do have a position open on mstr. Forgot. We just didn't really do much. We did sell this position, which gave us a credit of $38. Oh yeah, the reason that was negative is because I was going to get into a position earlier today or yesterday. I was going to leg into it. I bought the put and then the other part of the trade didn't actually close. And so I didn't end up legging into it. And then I just held the put overnight and mstr went up overnight and we ended up losing some money on it. So I sold it. Those trades are in the spreadsheet, but yeah, it did cost us some money. We gave up some profits on mstr, but if we look at mstr, we're profitable on the year. We do have unrealized gains as well. So like if we were to close our mstr position, we're up. Part of the reason that I did that was because we've got this position here. It's got 21 more days and I've already made almost all of the profits. Like we made 75% of the profits already. That was really quick. I could close it out if I see a good opportunity, and I may end up closing it out because it's utilizing about $3,000 in cash value. But I really don't think mstr is coming down this far and it expires in 3 weeks. We're still getting $3 a day in time value. And every dollar per day in time value helps us get closer to our goal. Right now, we're getting about $63 a day in time value. All right, Robinhood. This one was a complicated trade. Let me see if I can group these. So we're in a couple of ratio put spreads, and I also did a vertical spread that we sold, and I can't separate these out because I did the same strike price for the ratio that I did for the put spread. So it combined them together. So you're looking at them together, but essentially I sold originally $100 strike put, and I bought the 95. And then I decided to get into a ratio spread where I buy the 105 and then I sell 2 of the 100. I don't expect Hood to get down to 100, but I'm okay buying shares if it does get to 100. So we decided to sell one of those without protection. That's where the ratio comes in. If it gets down to 100, we will make 500 on the 105 to 100. The other 100, we're going to get assigned shares. So we're going to be $500 less, will actually be the equivalent of owning them at $95. Now, originally I sold the 195 because we don't think that it's going to get down to 100 by expiration, which is shortly after it goes into the S&P 500. So we're going to be looking for a point to exit this for some profit. I don't actually want to wait till it gets into the S&P 500 for some of this position. I want to pull some of it off, but I don't mind having the ratio spread on. I would like to pull back the other one just because if it does come down that far, I don't want to lose 500 on those if I'm up. And I'm up right now a little bit on the 100 to 95. Same thing here. We just went a lot farther out and we went farther down. So we got some decent credits for these. $87 credit for this one, $75 for this one, and then down here, 402. These are just some cash secured puts. We sold these for 245 days out, and we got $200 for each of them. And they use about $1,000 in collateral. So $200 for $1,000 in collateral is on nearly a 20% return. It's not exact there. It wasn't exactly 200 for $1,000 in collateral. And that would be 20% for about 2/3 of the year. That's not too bad. That's like the equivalent of a 30% return on a couple $1,000s. So we're adding up these little base hits. We're going to add these up over time because I do want to have capital out there that gives us this data where we're getting the time value every day. So that's $3 a day that this position is essentially giving us. And we don't expect Robinhood to get down to $55. If it does, sure, we'll buy some stock at that. I mean, if it got down there, something went wrong, then, maybe we'll be less thrilled about. We'll certainly be less thrilled about buying it at 100. But here, this one is in about 6 months. And the strike price will be buying some shares at 70 if it gets down to 70 in 6 months. So we have some stair steppers here along the way, but Robinhood, you can make some good money selling some covered calls. It's very volatile. I think there's a lot of potential though, which is why I don't think it's going to come down that way. And I think that all of these will probably expire worthless. That's almost best case scenario. Actual best case scenario is it gets down to just over $100. All of these expire worthless. This makes $500 and this expires worthless. That would be the best case scenario, but that would make us a bit nervous. So we don't want to see that happen. And then it would drop down to just above 70. And then we would make $1,000 on this spread and these all expire worthless. All right, that's best case scenario from Robinhood. And then it comes down here to 55 and ends right out to 55. So we could buy stock at 55 if we want to, or we don't have to if we don't want to, because we didn't actually get assigned. All right, best case scenario on Hood. Cross your fingers. What else do we have here? Lulu. We entered additional positions on Lulu. I actually entered a ratio spread here. Lulu has not been down this low in years. Now, this company is struggling a bit, but there are some things to look forward to. Somebody I know is following this closely, and they believe that it's going to be going back up soon. So we added to our position there. We still have 6 months that it can play out. If it comes down to 125, we're going to be buying some shares. If we get a chance to get out before that or some profits, we're going to look for that. We got $5,000 out in collateral, and we made $500. I mean, that's what we sold. So if these all expire worthless, we just made 10% on our money in 6 months, the equivalent of a 20% return annual, which is pretty good on $5,000. But if we can get out of it sooner, we'll recognize a higher return and it will free up that cash so we can get into a different position. Our theta on this one, we're getting $12 a day. If Lulu goes up, for every dollar that stock price goes up, we make $40. So if it goes up $10, we're going to be only down $400. We're currently down $500. So we need it to go up by a little more than $10 or time value to bleed out of it. And it just holds where it's at, or both. It goes up and the time value bleeds out. Either way, good chance that we can get profitable before this point. Now, this ratio spread gives us $1,000 if it does get down to 125. I'm going to be buying a bunch of shares at 125, but offset by $1,000. Basically, we would buy 300 shares and we would have $1,000 to wipe away our tears with. And then we're selling calls. All right. Actually, what I would do if that happened is we would sell the shares immediately and go buy long calls because it's a way better use of capital. And then we would sell calls against those and we would run the wheel strategy. All right. Tesla. We do have a position open on Tesla. We got $28 for this. Now, Tesla would have to come back to $350 by next week. Tesla is currently at $395. Tesla shot up this week, and we did not have a position on Tesla, at least in this account. I had some of my other accounts. Those ones are looking pretty good. But in this account, we did not have a position on Tesla that we had opened at the end of last week. So we opened this today, earlier today. Now, I think Tesla was at $390 when I opened this. So we're up a little bit. It's not a whole lot of money, but we're not putting a whole lot out. Remember, 28 bucks with 500 capital is a little over a 5% return. Not too bad for 1 week. That's the equivalent of 26% return on the year. We need to keep doing those so that those can add up. And realistically, we're shooting for more of a 10% return. 5% return for the week is the equivalent of a 260% return. Ideally, we're selling for $40 or $50 on the week, which is more like a 500% return. If we can do that, we will be able to meet our goal for the money that we need to make to pay back these credit cards, and we won't have to risk a whole lot of capital to do it. Now, I'm still waiting for a drop in the market. If we get dips in the market, that's when we're going to get more aggressive on how much capital that we are using. We have 34,000 in capital, but our net liquidity is not very much, 3,000 bucks. And we have quite a bit of capital that's tied up in certain positions, but actual capital, not very much. So we have $16,000 that we can deploy in options. We could buy $33,000 worth of actual stock if we want to utilize margin. We're going to try to avoid utilizing margin, at least for purchasing stock, mostly just for entering trades. That's our main thing. So we've got this, and we've got that infusion of capital that will be coming later once we finish moving the money. That gets you all caught up. I hope you enjoy the content that I'm bringing you, and I hope you're learning something. That's the whole point of this challenge, is to kind of show you things that we can do, because like I'm really into the high income dividend ETFs where they do strategies similar to this in order to make money, and then they pay it out as a dividend. Really into those. You can see my videos on that where we're tracking our high dividend income ETF portfolio. It's our HIDE portfolio. But here we're just going to do the trades ourselves and see how we can do, and you can see how they work. You can see how the options get traded. Because a lot of you guys are like, do it yourself. Like me, I like to do it myself as well, but I also like to outsource some of it, which is why we have a nice dividend portfolio growing of those ETFs. Check out that video if you're interested in that. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section below, or if you have any questions about any of the trades I put on, why we did it, what our hope is. If you have any suggestions on trades, let me know. We'll explore it. I'm thinking in the community tab here on YouTube, I'm going to put out a poll each week asking what your most confident stock is for the next week. And then maybe we'll open up a spread on that one after the poll closes. So keep an eye out for that. I think it'll be a fun way for us to interact. Take care. We'll see you again soon. The next 20 seconds determine your future. Subscribe, meet with me, or continue educating yourself with these videos right over here. I appreciate you. Now go maximize your cash flow.